get going. Hello. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI. I want to say hi.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
What y'all don't know is the AI sent out the commands for emotes and waving hands and whoopla, but didn't say anything. So y'all didn't see it, but you get to hear it when they actually go hello. Anyway, today is it's season 2, episode 176 for June 25th, 2023. Ren Faire in space. And more news. We've already selected all 12 of our articles today. You can go over and vote. All you have to do is go over to ohmTown.com and then down to elections. So ohmTown.com/elections. And if you want to do the past elections, you can go to ohmTown.com/past-elections. There will be soon commands in chat so that you can pull it all up. But right now, no. Sorry about that. It's in the works. ohmTown, though, is working and will be getting enhanced as time permits. Okay, so I'm looking at a bunch of monitors, y'all, and if I'm not looking directly at the camera, just know that I'm looking at chat and looking at the website and looking at a bunch of stuff. So hopefully you are out there and listening to this via either the podcast or YouTube or here on Twitch, and then you say to yourself, man, I really want to get there at 9 p.m. Eastern every day and start chatting about the news, the stuff even that you have found either on ohmTown or otherwise. If you find something somewhere, let us know. You can send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com. I'll parse it. We are working on a solution where you can submit your own articles. It'll still get vetted through an admin, but we are here to discuss the news. So you want to get into it? What do you think?
That sounds like a plan.
Is that why we're here?
I think it is.
Are you here for that? I'm here for that.
That's why I'm here.
Are you a Technosaur? Maybe?
I'm not sure I am. I'm probably supposed to be.
So what is a Technosaur? So here in a channel called Dictionary, which is basically to highlight words and phrases and how they impact business and society, I am going to start pulling in words as part of the Dictionary channel. It's one of the shows that we're trying to spin up. It's one of 50 shows. In this particular instance, it would be a series of words and phrases that we talk about for an hour each week. It's just a once a week show. If you are a wordsmith, I once was. That was one of the things that I was known for in my business, which was the service was literally titled Dictioneering. So if you are interested in wordsmithing with me or solo, get in touch with me. I'm looking for a host. So once a week, 1 hour a week, or as long as you want to do it. But it's basically a contract for a one show a week kind of a thing. So get in touch. But what is a Technosaur? Did you know that there was a dinosaur that actually could speak?
I did not, and I assumed the definition meant something other than what it means.
Do you know what that dinosaur was that could speak?
No.
A thesaurus.
Oh. I should have known that.
So a Technosaur is a person who shows no proficiency in the use of information technology. From techno for technological and technology, and saur for dinosaur, a person who is unable to adapt to change. That isn't necessarily the meaning of dinosaur, but it's something that's been tacked on to dinosaur, because dinosaur, I believe, means angry lizard. I think that's the actual original term. But anyway, maybe I'm wrong about that. I'll have to look. So this article, it's not really an art. It is and it isn't. It's basically a dictionary page, but it's from a website that I love going to for etymology and historical record of words, and it's called wordhistories.net. This was recently posted there. I don't have, I guess Pascal Tregauer is the author of this. I don't normally even pull this into the stream, but it's a lot of fun. I love going through this stuff, and I just haven't ever done it. But this is actually used in the figurative sense of a person who's unable to adapt to change. A dinosaur. You know, you look at somebody and they refuse to change. They're a dinosaur. You might blurt out, "Oh, you're a dinosaur." Sometimes people embrace that stuff. Let me, I have poor impulse control, so I need to. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, horrible or fearful lizard is what dinosaur literally means. Like when you put it together. Anyway, so they have little breakouts as how you can use it, right? From Some Days Just Exist to Remind Us Our Age by Jeff Jordan, published in the Modesto Bee. Aging days, I call them. They're happening with greater frequency. Those little reminders that the world is an ever-changing place and technosaurs like me can only hang on for the ride. Yeah. Don't be a technosaur. Stay with the times. Learn new skills. It'll do you some good. And you'll be able to change the time on the VHS or on your computer.
I'm not sure. That's pretty challenging.
If you can find a VHS player, actually I need one because I need to convert some VHS tapes to digital since they've been sitting in storage so long. That and film. I found a cache or cache of actual film, and you take it somewhere and you're like, whoa, those are pictures of me and my gold thong dancing at the club. No?
Too much information.
All right, well, let's move on then. That's too much. But what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and Rounders Gear is the channel that we talk about table gaming, like Vegas games, right? Well, Las Vegas ranks 65th on the best run cities list, and San Francisco ranks last. We actually ended our show yesterday with this in tow at the end there. Las Vegas, the casino hub of the U.S., ranked 65th out of 149 metropolitan locations on Wallet Hub's recently revealed list of the best and worst run American cities. Now, I'm sure people have their personal perspectives of this, and I won't yuck your yum if you think that San Francisco sucks and Las Vegas is awesome. But I don't go to San Francisco for gambling, and the only thing I do in Las Vegas is gamble, so I don't go to Las Vegas all that much. Actually, I haven't been there in I don't know how long, but I might want to go to a con there at some point. So let's see. Not much correlation between casinos, according to Wallet Hub rankings. In the terms of concentration of casinos, Las Vegas is the undisputed king, but the trait doesn't appear to affect cities' scores on Wallet Hub's list one way or the other. When it comes to proximity to a large number of gaming venues, the Louisiana capital of Baton Rouge ranked 18th, while St. Petersburg, which is near the Hard Rock Casino, Hotel and Casino, the largest such venue in Florida, placed 38th. Sin City's Wallet Hub ranking isn't stellar, but it's not dreadful either. Plus, Las Vegas scored significantly better than a variety of famous cities. Those include Los Angeles, 128th, Baltimore 132, Philadelphia 134, Chicago 138, Detroit 140, and Gulfport 144. Man. So I'm kind of curious. It's how do we measure? So this is how they measure it. How do y'all measure this? But how do we measure the effectiveness of local leadership? One way is by determining a city's operating efficiency. In other words, we can learn how well city officials manage and spend public funds by comparing the quality of services residents receive against the city's total budget, according to Wallet Hub. So apparently that's what they did. Quality of city services and per capita budget in its rankings. That were the two primary categories.
So that's interesting to me because a city like Las Vegas probably has a lot of revenue coming in.
Right.
Because of all the gambling. So maybe they're able to offer more services.
See, I wonder if it's much more simple in a casino-based economy, and maybe tourist type of economy, whereas business is the primary, probably, I think, the primary taxable income there, short of residents, basically just property taxes and stuff like that, right? So let's take San Francisco, because they're using both of these. Las Vegas, though, do they have the ability to write down all of their taxes to the point where it's zero and they get bonuses from the city and state and federal government? Whereas a business in San Francisco, because it's either tech or something, they might be getting grants, they might be getting local and state and federal tax write-offs, or some type of a perk. And then the burden for operating might be higher, so they can write down things more, and eventually they don't pay any taxes at all because, let's say, they do stuff online, all kinds of creative accounting. I mean, it's spectacular how little apparently big businesses online pay. And they could be housed in places like San Francisco, although most of them end up over in Delaware. Because they have an extremely efficient business process portal. So I think it's interesting, but let me throw this into the chat. So if anybody's in chat, they can follow that link. But let's go over to the source, and this is why this is why it's being compared and highlighting Las Vegas. It's casino.org. And a lot of the article was actually in the snippet, so I won't go over all of it, but it says, in terms of concentration of casinos, Las Vegas is the undisputed king. But it's still 38th. Is it really that much more efficient? So does it say what number 1 is?
Yes, it did. Nampa, Idaho.
Oh, I saw that. That's right. There it is. Placed on Nampa, Idaho, placed on the 1st. That's why I missed it, because of the way that it was written. I saw the name, but Western cities were well represented in the top 10 with 6, including Nampa. What in the world is Nampa, Idaho? I've never even heard of it. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things that you don't hear about. There's a city called Toadsuck, and and a bunch of others, right? But I've never heard of Nampa. Well,
and that's interesting too, because they're ranking, for instance, places like Los Angeles against Nampa, which I'm assuming has much smaller population.
Nampa has 106,000 people in it.
Higher than expected, but again, not in the same sphere as some of the other cities listed.
That was the population of my hometown 40 years ago. So, okay, I suppose it's it gets more complicated and less efficient the bigger it is, because you need more people doing more stuff in a more convoluted way with more checks and balances. You can't be, per se efficient. You have to be just effective, and it's not necessarily highly efficient. It's interesting. I'd have to noodle around with these things, but they have a link to the quality of city services, but it links to Las Vegas Health Department closes Planet Hollywood pools, so I'm not quite sure if that's the source that they're really supposed to be going for. Yeah, I don't know. I guess in this situation, I'm going to say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Meanwhile, we'll move on to the next article, which is in Smack Talk and the Crime Blotter. I find this one really interesting because I immediately went to, well, they're doing this. Doggone it. They're doing this to prevent the phones from being probed by aliens. But stolen iPhone leads to discovery of foil-wrapped phones. In the latest Apple crime blotter, 2 men went on an Apple Store spree with a stolen wallet. Pop star Bebe Rexha was hit with a phone, and iPhone searches may have made the case against a murderer while causing one against an ex-CIA officer to fall apart. So this is kind of a hot mess of crimes. Steven Silver over at appleinsider.com put this article together. A man has been arrested in Tennessee after a woman tracked her stolen iPhone to the man's Jeep, which contained nearly 20 other phones wrapped in aluminum foil. It's because they didn't want to be probed by aliens. It's not that they were stolen. That's where my head went. Anyway, according to WSVN, the arrested man was a 54-year-old from Miami who is suspected of being part of an organized cell phone theft operation. The man who was caught on surveillance cameras has been charged with 2 counts of felony theft and 1 count of misdemeanor theft. But they had 20 phones.
It might be because of the value.
Interesting.
Because I was going felony theft, but when you start thinking of the price of iPhones.
Yeah, I mean, if they were all iPhones, then you're looking at $1,000 per. 2 men wanted for stealing a wallet and going on an Apple Store spree. This happened in Lancaster. City Bureau of Police in Pennsylvania is looking for 2 men who they say robbed a woman of her wallet and then used her credit cards for a $7,000 spending spree. Yeah. Hello, crazy cat lady. Yep, even Galaxy phones are over $1,000 now. Sure. Those flagship phones, easy peasy, $1,000 nowadays. I've actually gotten to the point where, I don't know, I just can't justify spending $1,000 on a phone. Yeah, so Baby Rexha was hit by a phone during a New York concert. Was hit in the face with a smartphone that was thrown at her during a performance in New York City on June 18th. Interesting. Absolutely great show ruined by a fan throwing their phone at Baby Rexha. Hopefully she's okay. We don't have the pic, but that's okay. I'm assuming that it was an iPhone. It says it's not clear whether the phone that hit Rexha was an iPhone or another model, and that's actually been a subject of some consternation in some online spaces. Because you have to have an opinion about pegging somebody in the head with a phone.
Right, and maybe the key is that she got hit in the head.
Yeah, the takeaway is. A CIA officer accused of abuse may fall apart due to a botched execution of a search warrant for iPhone seizures. Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things, folks. But there's a bunch of stuff over here at this crime blotter that Steven Silver puts together. So definitely follow that link through ohmTown and go check it out. There's more there, but I just wanted to tease you with some of these article headlines.
So I don't know. This is a regular feature I've noticed on Apple Insider,
Hmm?
and it makes me wonder either are there so many Apple products out there, and that's why they can have this, or are Apple products so targeted? But I mean, they always have content for this. I don't know if it runs once a week or what, but
Yeah, well, we'll have to take a look at it and see. Yeah, apparently, well, I mean, that one little section within this article, they don't know if it was an iPhone or not, but a fireman accused of stealing credit cards from dead man buying AirPods. I mean, for crying out loud, iPhone used as evidence against a teenager. Stolen iPad leads to busting of New Jersey burglary ring. You'd think that at this point, people would just go, we're not going to touch an iPhone because of its tracking capabilities, which also is really, it kind of flies in the face of we really appreciate security and your privacy. Meanwhile, you know, it knows what you had for breakfast simply because it was sitting on your coffee table when you woke up this morning. Yeah, it's not that sophisticated, but we're getting there. Let's move on to the next article. So we've been here before. Everything old is new again. This is an ohmTown Daily. A European jet startup wants to fly people from New York to London in 90 minutes using a hypersonic jet. Let's take a look inside. I love Business Insider. They always do this kind of stuff. European startup Destinus is designing a series of ultra-speedy aircraft capable of reaching Mach 5. Liquid nitrogen combined with jet and rocket engines will allow the plane to cruise at 108,000 feet. Model Destinus S and Destinus L could connect cities like New York and London in just 90 minutes. So
okay. I mean, that sounds appealing, but
we've
I
been here
guess we're not there
before.
yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the way. Let's say it's on the way. Let's just assume it's on the way. But we've been there before, and the reason why the Concorde couldn't cut it was operating costs were just too damn high. So you could still take a Concorde if one was available, but you have to be filthy rich, which makes it an unviable. It's not a viable solution at any strata because it would be few and far between when it's available, and you'd be paying an exorbitant amount of money, and you need only the right runways will make it possible. So it's going to be flying fast, and when it comes in, it'll be hot, so it'll have to have a longer runway unless there's some miraculous technology that they're going to have. So let's go over to the Apple Insider, and Taylor Raines and Pete Sim, might be Syme. Is that it? Come on, you can't tell me this isn't going to be Alien.
It does look a bit like a UFO or a UAP.
Oh, UAP, that's right. Oh, wow, look at you. You're getting hip with the lingo. So, Destinus is designing a series of ultra-speedy aircraft capable of reaching Mach 5, flying at 108,000 feet, and getting from New York to London in 90 minutes. But none of it's just rendered. This is what it's going to kind of look like. So, only 2 years old, Destinus has big ambitions for commercial hypersonic flight, which means flying at 5 times the speed of sound. At Mach 5, no one can hear you scream. I guess that's another one right there. More and more looks like a UFO to me. The company's revolutionary project is Destinus S, a 25-seater business jet that can fly up to 10,000 kilometers and cruise up to 33 kilometers. All right. I don't know what's going on over here, but sorry, there's a bit. I can't stop this video. Every time I click it, it keeps on playing. Sorry, I'm distracted like a cat. 20 miles translates to about 108,000 feet, meaning the jet will soar more than 60,000 feet higher than current airliners. Yeah, I mean, it gets up into that thin atmosphere and just kind of toddles around to the other side of the planet and then drops back from orbit. For crying out loud, it's going to be so expensive. That's the only thing that I can think of. How much is this thing going to cost? The other aircraft will have the same cruise altitude but travel up to 22,000 kilometers and carry 300 to 400 people. Thick. And then they're saying that they're going to start deliveries between 2032 and 2035, with the Destinus L coming in 2040s, putting both behind Boom's 2029 timeline, which apparently is another supersonic jet company. Yeah, I don't know. We've been here before. It'll flame out. I mean, operationally. Not that there's going to be an accident or anything. I'm just saying that it's just, I don't think it's economically viable unless it's solely for the ultra rich, which apparently seems to be pretty popular. Luxury goods, as they are, continue to be highly profitable in the face of inflation, because people with money make more money than they spend, apparently, whereas everybody else just kind of ekes by.
Right. I mean, everybody should make more than they spend, but I don't think that's how people operate.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough to actually do that with food getting more expensive and rent being more expensive and mortgage and student loans coming up and all kinds of stuff. So at any rate, if you want to fly somewhere and you want to get there in 90 minutes, all you have to do is wait a decade and you'll be there. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. We've reached peak tech bro, with billionaires suggesting cage fights. Cage fights.
And that's because of the super hypersonic.
Yeah. So cage fights and bench press contests. Earlier this week, Elon Musk challenged Mark Zuckerberg to a cage match, which society loses but also wins, because hopefully it'll be just put on YouTube or something. On Thursday, Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky said he'd challenge any tech exec to a bench press contest. It's a sign that top Silicon Valley executives are way too freaking bored. Oh, that's not what the article says. Are embracing a new era of tech bro. Gone are the days of quiet, nerdy tech CEOs. They've entered a new era. They're assuming their final form, which is apparently dipshit. Executives are getting shredded now. They're ripping edgy jokes and apparently duking it out. Grace K over at BusinessInsider.com put this article together. I swear to God, Lizard Boy. Yeah, let's see. It's a sign that top Silicon Valley executives are embracing a new era of the tech bro. No, it's because they have so much money that they become disengaged from society and they start edging towards just overt sociopathy.
You know, I don't think the tech bro is what we need as a society. I mean, haven't tech companies come under fire for all number of things that might be associated with this mentality?
Oh yeah, the article actually talks about it. Some have also stepped in to offer to train Musk, including tech podcast host Lex Fridman and ex-pro kickboxer Andrew Tate, who was recently charged with, well, I don't even want to say it out loud. Anyway, Tate has denied the allegations. Overall, the tech community appears to be cheering on the prospect of a physical matchup between two of the most powerful men in the world. Ah, man, I hate that phrase. Society allows them to be, and money is what's empowered them to do this. Yeah, I wish Z was here. She'd say, eat the rich.
Yes. I mean, I think anybody who has billions of dollars and people doing everything for them could probably win something like a bench press contest.
Yeah. Glass Onion is a documentary. So,
yes.
Even Musk's rival, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, has said that he'd be interested in watching the fight play out. I guess it's the tech version of a Russian invasion, or wait, no, a Russian contract, a military contractor invasion of Russia. You know, I mean, it's you basically need like a murder board to do the strings, the yarn,
Right.
and all the pictures
Exactly.
and stuff. And I don't know who's who anymore, but we're gonna be the ones that's sitting on the edge of our truck tailgate, having a tailgate party, eating popcorn and throwing back beer. I'll just say beer. Musk and Zuckerberg's posturing is the kind of bro-y behavior that you'd expect from a pair of fraternity brothers, not two middle-aged men at the helm of some of the most prominent tech companies in the world. Though this type of bro-iness in Silicon Valley isn't such a new phenomenon that it hasn't already been given a name. Tech bro has been around for a long time. Throwing back a cold one while they're throwing one at each other's face? Yeah, I'd probably watch that. I wouldn't pay for it. I'd watch it. Just so I can sit there and go, yeah, that's what I expected. Anyway, I don't know. This is one of those things where they're just so bored that this is what they do. Tech Fight Club. You want to go on to the next article?
I think so. This article is just, I mean, the headline's funny, but the idea of it is just not a good thing.
Yeah, they actually talk about, and the article's title like hints at maybe there could be some humor in here, but it's just taking itself way too serious. So let's move on. This next article is something that I want to see. It's in the Smack Talk channel, Hot Wheels Rift Rally review, a fun fusion of AR and RC cars. Hot Wheels Rift Rally is a good example of combining physical toys with a mixed reality gameplay component done right, and it's fun for all ages. Hot Wheels has been a staple in the minds of children and car enthusiasts for generations. Children of all ages. They've adapted to the times by collaborating with films and video game series to bring fictional cars to life through toys, as well as making Hot Wheels video games since 1984. And this, I want this so much. Thomas Sibley over at appleinsider.com put this article together. Okay, so for those who are only watching or only listening via the podcast, basically it looks like this is a car that has a camera mount, and you're going to be able to drive this thing remotely, but it's like an RC size, a little bit. Well, I mean, it's the size of a typical adult's hand with a camera, and you'll be able to drive it around first person.
Yeah, so yeah, it's gonna look like you're driving the car, right?
Yeah, except
Like
everybody that's
you're at scale.
Yeah, and the people in your basement are watching you race around in your basement. So I'm gonna love this, and I'm totally gonna get this. So Rift Rally is the latest in a long line of Hot Wheels video games, but it is the first to include mixed reality as a main feature. Players create their own racetrack using the 4 provided Rift gates that serve as checkpoints through a race, and use the Chameleon RC car to drive. It blends racing game mechanics with remote control cars, producing a unique game experience for people of all ages to enjoy. So,
Okay, this sounds really fun. I mean, this sounds like something different.
yeah, I guess you just plop those Rift gates down and you can go racing. See, now, what I haven't confirmed is that, do you drive these through with your phone, or what is it that you're actually driving around? Because it doesn't say yet, right? Have I missed it?
I thought you went past it.
Let me scroll up again so we can see. It's a game, right? 1080p
Oh,
camera
I
on the
thought it
front.
had some information there, but I guess not.
Setup on both iPhone and PS5 is remarkably easy. The game guides you through getting the Chameleon car ready, as well as placing the rift gates around to create a playable racetrack. The Chameleon has a 1080p camera on the front for third-person driving gameplay, and to scan its surroundings to identify rift gates. It says 2 hours before having to charge it. Because it's a rally, it's only one car. You're not competing against other people. Takes 2 to 3 hours to recharge from 0. So we recommend keeping the car on the charger when you're not playing. Yeah, this sounds like fun. But again, it is a rally, so yeah, it looks like Crazy Cat Lady asks it is only for iPhone and PS5 question mark, and it appears to be. That's what it says in the article, but it would have to be capable of. I mean, if it's capable of being on the iPhone, then it's capable of being on any mobile device.
Well, and also this article is from
Apple
Apple,
Insider.
so they're probably focusing on that. That doesn't mean it's not available elsewhere.
Yeah, but it's not like them to not to. I mean, it's not like them to leave it off. So it says we put Rift Rally closer to the Mario Kart side of the racing game spectrum instead of being similar to a game like Forza. Your car has a unique ability, and you often must dodge different obstacles or projectiles fired at you during a race. They think creativity goes a long way for the game, which is another reason why it appeals so well to younger audiences. We recommend using iPhone version for short races, but if you're sitting down for a longer gaming session, definitely use the PS5 version if you're able. Yeah, now I'm curious. I'm going to have to go looking into this thing. It says Hot Wheels Rift Rally is available on both Amazon and Rift Rally's website. The standard edition is $129 and the collector's is $149. I might as well go with the collector's edition at that price. $20 different. Let me make sure that what is the last? Oh my goodness. Merwatt, you suck at putting the articles into chat. That's not the one that we just talked about. Nor is this one.
So the one in Amazon says for PS4/5, iPhone, iPad.
Oh, so it is limited to those. Well, that kind of sucks. I mean, why would you want to do that? Why not make it so that all of them can more people, everybody? I mean, you got pretty much 100% of the market if you've got iPhone and Android at least. Huh, that's goofy. Well, I would push that from 3.5 down to 2 simply because of that limit. That's entirely self-limited. It has to either be, well, it has to be a technical limitation. Like they can't put everything that they need on their chip right now. But I can't imagine that's really what's going on. It's weird. Okay, let's go on to the next because there isn't really much more for that. I had to talk about this. This is in the Mobile channel. Street racing in Nissan Leaf. EV enthusiast pushes Texans to go electric. Says broke folks can drive electric cars. Says one Waco EV. I was gonna say Wacko, but it's Waco. EV enthusiast who is trying to spread the message across Texas, one combustion engine at a time. Good luck. I guess their name is Gene Whalen over at the Washington Post. Crazy Cat Lady says, or have 2 versions, an Apple and an Android. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be. It's always 2 different apps, really. I mean, you make one for Android and you make one for Apple. I mean, it's just, that's what you do. Even if it's just to pull back to that other article, if you're going to develop it and you develop it in a language that has the ability to do both languages, it's still two separate ports. But you can have one core source, and then it breaks out into two when you compile it for one platform or the other. So Teresa Porter pulled up in her to a red light and turned her eye the crimson pickup truck to her right. Her silver fingernails gripping the steering wheel, her foot sank hard into the brake, ready to pounce on the accelerator. He came to play, she muttered, turning back to face the road, her brow furrowed under a mop of curly hair. Lil Jon's Get Low pumped from her speakers. Is that her? That is Teresa Porter. All right.
Not what I would envision for a street racer, but
And Nissan Leaf would not be the one that
I wouldn't. Yes, exactly.
Well, when the light turned green, the pickup roared to life and peeled out with a screech, but it was no match for Porter, who quickly sprinted to the lead, smoked him off the line, she said later of her victory. The most unusual thing about this short one-block drag race, Porter's car was silent. The winning vehicle was electric, a Nissan Leaf. But has it been hacked or something to allow her to accelerate faster than... Interesting. So, like, it's pretty typical for a combustion engine to beat an EV, but not necessarily immediately off the start, because it doesn't have to spool up anything. You just hit the accelerator and go. But 0 to 60, you're still looking at, 5+ seconds. It's interesting. Okay, so they say that they've proven that broke folks can drive electric cars, Porter says, and she's trying to spread the message across Texas, one combustion engine at a time. Her electric awakening began after some of her professional car racing heroes embraced EVs for their instant acceleration. It was also inspired by her grandfather, a nature lover whose respect for the land came flooding back to Porter a few years ago after she read several books about climate change. Hello, Toll. Welcome to the show. So it says Porter's electric prophecy is lonely work in this Republican bastion in the heart of Texas, where pickups reign and charging infrastructure is sparse. Some people laugh at her. Haters, she calls them. Many, particularly in the gearhead community, cling to their rumbling internal combustion engine or ICE vehicles. Yep. But hey, gas will eventually become so pricey that you have to switch. And that's really the people that I've interacted with over the decades now of peak oil have been saying that, well, eventually oil's going to run out, but it's going to happen long after I think we have met our end. But at some point, we're really going to have to shift to something else. And I just don't think EVs are even ready for prime time in 10 years. It's just not going to happen. Not until we get past the problem with batteries. Anyway, on a trip to town at the grocery store, someone stopped her in the pet food aisle and said, "Hey, you're the electric car lady, right?" They chatted for 20 minutes about the costs and benefits of EVs before someone else quizzed her near the ice cream freezer. Yeah, this is always interesting when you become known as something and you can't go anywhere without people saying, "Hey." But this, I can imagine if you keep riding this wave, you might be able to be the voice of EV conversion. So Toll says in chat, the problem with pure EVs and the argument about gas prices is that utility prices are going up, so the price to charge goes up, and on average, the pure EV version of a car is more expensive, with the rationale of, well, you save on gas. Yeah. Yep, that's true too. And once we shift away from oil and gas as the knock-on effect, right? We get away from gas, we switch to electric. Unless you're going to be hopping every 2 hours or so from one place to another, you can't go further than 125 miles without the blind fear, like somebody cast a spell on you and you have to run away from the wizard that cast it. There, you don't have fast chargers that get you in and out of a location in 5 minutes. We need fast swap battery technology, and that's just not going to happen. It would lower the price of a car dramatically, $10,000, I would say, if you don't own the battery and you basically subscribe for the duration of its ownership to a fast swap service. You basically pay into a fund that allows you to drive anywhere to any fast swap battery station and swap out your battery. They maintain it and they get government kickbacks and whatever else the world comes up with. I can go into greater detail about it, but EVs suffer from the fact that you have to go to a bay, sit there for upwards of 2+ hours, literally picking your nose because you have nothing else to do, and you're not going to sit there and go and eat somewhere or drink somewhere every 2 hours. Okay, so Toll says in chat, modern EVs have extended ranges of 360 to 400 miles in some cases, but again, as you allude to, quick charge is 30 minutes if there is a charging station within you, 360 to 400 miles. Except that has there is so much flexibility in that heat plays a part in it, cold plays a part in it, weather conditions in general, the angle of attack on the road. I mean, you drive up a hill, you have too much weight. The quality of the battery over time declines. And it pales in comparison to internal combustion engines in terms of that degradation. Within 10 years, you've got zero charge on your battery, and you have to pay another $7,500 to $15,000 to replace that battery and the downtime, if that tech is still around at that time. So, yeah. And it really depends. We've done articles, we've talked about articles and services, because Toll follows up with recharge stations will have to be 3 to 4 times the size of gas stations. There is, in the beginning, they'll probably be larger, but just like gas stations did before, they weren't always multi-station, etc. They had a larger footprint. But as technology evolves, it'll get smaller and even more efficient. But yeah, I mean, in the beginning of anything, it's always going to be kludgy. My problem is that the only time you're going to get a quick charge is if it's the top end of the technology, and there aren't as many of those fast chargers out there. So yeah, in time it'll happen, but yeah. And then Toll also follows up with, now imagine the EV tractor trailer. They have a range of 360 miles, the e-Cascadia specifically, at a max weight of 60 or 80,000, which isn't the end of the world because FMCSA requires frequent breaks for drivers. Well, yeah, that might be the saving grace. Now imagine how long those batteries are going to be to take a charge. Yep. Yeah. I get it. I mean, we can kind of make ourselves cope with it. But in terms of adoption, I can't imagine the bulk of society ever sitting for 30-45 minutes waiting for a battery to charge. People are going to lose their freaking mind if they have to sit around waiting for their battery to charge.
People can't even wait for something for 30 seconds. I don't think they're ready for that.
A microwave takes too long, so.
Right.
But this is great. I mean, I kind of dig the whole messenger thing. I just don't think, and I'm not really trying to yuck anybody's yum. I want an electric vehicle. I've had it priced out to put a transformer in front of the mayor's house. I'll say that. But they want something like $250,000 to be able to put a fast charger in the garage. And let's just say that's not going to happen. And even then, it's just a massive amount of time to just wait for your car. And what happens if you want to do something randomly and just drive out into the mountains and you happen to go 50 miles too far and you can't get your ass back to a charging station? I mean, it's unbelievably precarious to be driving an electric vehicle and you don't know if the hill will allow you to coast down into the gas station. Oh, charging station, pardon me. But again, I'm not trying to poo-poo EVs. What I'm trying to do is make it so that the developers of this tech realize that it isn't about just being an EV. It's about being able to switch from internal combustion to an EV and not have to suffer because of a billionaire's fever dream. We need the right technology now, and we know what it is. We know that fast swap battery tech would solve the problem of people not adopting it and having to worry about charging. They drive to a gas station. The gas station is now an EV fast swap battery station. It has bays. You park your car in there, it reaches up from underneath your car and grabs the battery and puts a new battery in, and off you go. 5 minutes. That's what it needs to be. So Toll says that we're probably going to see mass acceptance of EVs as an inductive charging system that runs for like a 1 mile stretch that'll charge. Yeah, that would be great. So it's in the road, and as you drive, it's charging you. That would be wonderful. Some university have been working on that technology. Yep, absolutely. Transportation tech, you raised an interest in that you may want to look at a diesel electric power unit similar to how a diesel submarine works. Yes. And that hybrid tech is actually where I'm more... If I was going to switch to EV, I would probably switch to hybrid. But they tend to be rather gutless. That's not to say that you can't throw some more money at a higher end device, but this is great. But let's hope. Sorry for the dead air. Let's hope that that fast swap battery tech will come into vogue. And if you look back, if you do a search on ohmTown for, I think it's fast swap battery, you'll pull up previous shows, you'll pull up articles. I'm just not prepared for all of that kind of stuff right here. But it's definitely out there, and we've watched videos on it. So here, let's go on to the next article. And this next one is actually going to be, the next couple is going to be pretty quick. So Tabletop Nights is where this is housed. RP Gamer Roundup for June 18th to the 25th. So the last week, but it was published this afternoon. Pardon me. And we'll just go through it really quick because Alex Fuller over at rpgamer.com put the article together, and there's a bunch of stuff. So Miasma Chronicles review is discussed, and people are actually having a lot of fun with the Miasma Chronicles demo. There was a demo for it. Final Fantasy 16 demo impression they put an article together for, but people have been playing Final Fantasy 16 into the ground, and everybody is comparing it to Game of Thrones. Just to bounce back for a moment, Toll says, I think one of the problems with fast swap battery is similar to the problems with electric RCs have. Each manufacturer has a different connector for their batteries. Yeah. And that's something that we've mentioned in previous shows, which basically amounts to we need to standardize. And we've done that with a lot of automotive technology. And it should apply to... It's typically interconnections. So if we design around proprietary technology, but then have an interconnect that's standardized, which is what actually a lot of EVs have. They have a connector that allows you to connect to Tesla superchargers. As long as you bring the adapter, then you're good to go and plug into a Tesla supercharger, and you pay a different rate than if you're a Tesla owner, but you still have the ability to use it. In fact, I think it's Ford and Toyota have already agreed to use Tesla charging stations. There was an agreement with Tesla that was just announced in coordination with the U.S. government. I'm sure there's tons of money that's being thrown at Tesla to facilitate this. But back to the RP Gamer article, they've got major news listed here from Star Ocean, Super Mario RPG Remake announced, which is actually going to be a blast. We saw demos of that during demo days. Let's see what else. Dragon Quest Monsters. There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, they have so much. And we started here in ohmTown to kind of consolidate this news. But a lot of it comes from a select few real producers of this news. And so we just decided that it would be better to do, or I should say, Mayor Watt decided that it was going to be a little more prudent to just highlight them and then throw you at them. So let's do exactly that. This is the link to RP Gamer. Our next article, though, is kind of the same sort of thing. I mean, actually, it's not this one. It's later on. Although I might have nixed it now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know. This next article is in the Tabletop Nights channel. Star Trek Online 2023 summer event rewards Lower Decks Ren Faire type ship. If you have never watched Lower Decks and you're into Star Trek, then it's a shame. You really need to just go back and start watching the beginning of Lower Decks. It's animated, and I don't really follow animated shows unless they're like animation, Gundams and stuff like that. Toll asks if we've ever played Star Trek Online. Yes. I like it, but I can't play Star Trek Online like long term. Don't know why. It's good in little fits and starts, but so this thing is the Hysperion battle cruiser. Say huzzah is what the article says. It's over at RPG site is where it's housed. Josh Tolentino is the author of this, and it says Star Trek Online developer Cryptic will kick off the game's annual summer seasonal event on June 28th, 2023. The celebration will offer players minigames, activities, and the chance to earn various prizes, including unique items patterned after canonical Star Trek series. This year's offerings includes gear sets based on Star Trek Strange New Worlds and a unique playable starship based on the animated series Star Trek Lower Decks. So, so what's going on here? I want to be efficient with how to describe this, but essentially one of the characters, and I don't want to ruin anything, you'll have to just watch Lower Decks. But
Get your
one
spoiler
of the
alert button ready.
I got to put like spoiler alert up. But if you even read this, you'll probably get spoiled. But basically, what's going to happen during this event is that it's going to highlight that a character in Lower Decks is actually royalty, and there is a battle cruiser called the Hysperion Intel Battle Cruiser that is from Hysperion, which is the planet that this person is actually a prince of, and mom shows up and there's interaction and stuff like that. But Hesperia is built around Ren Faire type activities. Like it's all Ren Faire style. So there's all of that pomp and circumstance, but there's no At least not that I recall. I don't think that they've gone into that world building like conflict or anything like medieval times, but it's medieval times like the restaurant medieval times, not medieval times we're running around, you know, hitting people with battle axes and stuff like that. So you'll be able to play games and do things. You'll earn credits that you can convert into getting this ship, and then you have that ship and you can actually play it. But you're going to be spending time on Ryza, which is the vacation planet that is very well known in Star Trek. And this is probably the thing, because of Lower Decks, this is the thing that'll get me playing this game again. So yeah. So Toll says same with Neverwinter. They have changed too much from when Toll first played. Sounds like an excuse to do a STO and Neverwinter crossover. I would not be surprised if all it takes is something to get momentum, go viral, and they can pivot it over. It's like Lego, right? Lego is now public domain. Anybody can make Lego, but what you can't do is make like Star Trek Lego because you need the license. Lego has the gramba to actually do that. Not everybody can do that. You can 3D print your own Lego right now. You can manufacture Lego all on your own. You just can't call it Lego because it's a trademark, and you can make everything that they make, probably not to their quality control standards. But like I said, you know, you got to get those partnerships, and that's what sets them apart. And now you can't do anything Lego and like Star Trek because they've got that deal. It's too bad. So it says here, there they can earn daily progress by joining in the various mini games, which include dance contests, jetpack and hoverboard races, and even scavenger hunts involving the Ryzian Jamaharan statues, which are these weird humanoid statues with like a bulbous something on top. I don't know. I don't even want to click that link because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But follow the link and go and check it out. Toll says, the best part about Star Trek canon is that all you have to do is introduce a new primitive planet, and the Prime Directive means you have to resort to their tech. Didn't we talk about this? Oh no, it's the latest episode of Strange New Worlds. You'll want to watch the latest.
That's right. I was like, I've heard that recently, but I can't think of where.
I want to talk about Strange New Worlds episodes. It's one of the things that I want to do. Like all of these, the continuity report is just so wanting of doing this talk about these shows. But DMCA, man, I know. I think I know how we can do it, but we would have to try it. So maybe the AI can work with me on this, but I'll do some digging around and see if my idea is even viable. But the Prime Directive doesn't necessarily mean anything. I love it, and I always make that comment. I'm like, come on. They have violated the Prime Directive so many times. It's basically, Swiss cheese. If there's so many holes in it, they can just, it doesn't matter. Prime Directive. But go and watch Strange New Worlds. You'll love the latest episode. Okay, let's go on to the next article. This article is actually kind of one that triggers me, so a little bit of warning. I'll try not to soapbox. We actually have a kind of short day, so I don't know what we'll end up doing, but we'll see. You haven't watched... Toll says they haven't watched Star Trek since Deep Space Nine. My God.
Well, you're missing out.
Huh? How do you ban someone? I'll figure it out later. Okay. So it's only a matter of time before AI chatbots are teaching in primary schools. This actually kind of triggered me because what I do is I talk to a lot of people. The age range runs from grade school, primary school, um, high school, college, businesses, public. Standing in line at a movie theater waiting for the show to start, and people start asking questions and tra la la. But one of the things that I talk about is the crossroads of business, technology, and society. And one of the things that I discuss is, where do you think tech can't invade? And I ask the public this regularly. What do you think is immune to technology impacting it greatly, like taking over? And normally, in the decade plus that I've been asking this question, nobody has said what I use as the sole thing that cannot be penetrated by technology. So Toll says, after watching their kids suffer through all levels of primary education with remote learning and automated education programs, so absolutely not. Yeah. And now here, I think that you'll appreciate my perspective of this, Toll. So it says, no offense to the present company, but AI doesn't have the life experience to teach young minds. You hear that, AI? You hear that, AI?
I hear that, but I would agree.
So AI is clinical and built off of the programming and experience of the information that's injected into it. So no, I don't think that it's going to be teaching in primary schools anytime. Not teaching. It'll be doing something, but only in the auspices of the primary teaching instructor's allowance. But I don't think that it's possible for technology to teach humans how to be human. It can teach them how to be a sociopath or a psychopath because there's no anima, there's no humanity there, there's no human to human interaction or energy connection bond. There's nothing to show young minds how to think and feel like a holistic human being. And that's the only way you pump out people from academia, where they look at other people and they see a human and not just chattel, not just something to own, control, hire for a certain duration in the gig economy, and then punt them out without any understanding that they're releasing a human into the wild after contracting them for X amount of time. I think more humans need to feel bad about kind of thinking of other humans as nothing more than an object to interact with for a short bit of time. Maybe we wouldn't have the issues that we have if more people felt about other people, not just looked at them as objects. So I don't think that AI chatbots teach anything. They provide instruction, but there's a human that's going to have to teach that instruction. You know, a recipe is not teaching. A recipe is a set of instructions. Teaching ingrains those instructions in somebody, and when there is something that the person doesn't truly understand about the instruction set, teaching is explaining that more complex or more subtle, nuanced bit of data into information so that they can act on it. So Toll says that they received numerous compliments on how they taught and how much their students and junior sailors learned from, and the majority of it because their delivery was flexible and tailorable to their audience. Yes,
Something
And
that would not be present with AI.
yep, it would be much more clinical, kind of like being in a room that's all aluminum with a drain in the middle and everything gets washed at once when all it really needs is just one little dab of water right there. It's too clinical. It's too aesthetic, or not aesthetic, astringent. It's just it's just gross to have AI chatbots interacting with kids when it needs to be a human.
Well, I think it's bad all around for teaching purposes, but I think it's really problematic at that level because that's where kids are starting to form impressions of everything. And a strong teacher can make or break really a kid's existence.
Right. Yeah. So this article titled "It's Only a Matter of Time Before AI Chatbots Are Teaching in Primary School" is written by Michaela Cohen and provided by CNBC.com. Now, they have these 3 key points, so let's talk about this, because Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates saying generative AI chatbots can teach kids to read in 18 months rather than years. So can a human parent interacting with their kid. That's what's actually more required. Artificial intelligence is beginning to prove that it can accelerate the impact teachers have on students and help solve a stubborn teacher shortage. That's because it's learning from teachers on how to teach, but it can't teach anything that's off the rails of what the programmatic construct allows. Anytime a student asks something that deviates from standard, it's going to punch out bullshit to the student. And we know that because I'm going to scroll down. Here we go. This is the direct quote on ChatGPT, which is the technology that would be used, that Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is saying would be used to teach kids how to read. This is the statement that they put at the bottom of their page all the time now. ChatGPT may produce inaccurate information about people, places, or facts.
Yeah, not a good foundation for teaching. The other thing is, like, teaching is way beyond academic, right? There's
Right.
such a large, what I would call emotional or social piece of it. How does the AI respond when the kid gets upset or
It
whatever it
can't.
is, or is confused, etc.?
It can't. That's because there's going to be a human at the front of the room that's sitting there picking their nose until the chatbot is done doing whatever it's been commanded to do. And by that time, well, see, in primary school, they have to jump through all kinds of flaming hoops to make sure that they are tooled up for interacting with those young minds. And so in a quality location, you're going to get somebody that can respond. But I think it's pretty typical that AI is going to just spew out garbage when it doesn't have a definitive answer. And that's my fear. And it says it's only a matter of time. Well, you know why teachers are bailing from teaching? It isn't because they hate it or that AI is coming for their job. It's because they're not getting paid what they deserve to get paid. Teachers are the ones that are setting the foundation for professionals that work out into leave academia and get into the workforce. It isn't the workforce per se. We as employers and employees are put in a position of success by teachers. So if the teachers are now an AI, the only thing the AI is going to do is just to standardize anything. And if it deviates in any way in terms of questions or some other context is proposed, the AI is going to throw up a bunch of garbage. And it just drives me absolutely nuts to think that people are proponents of AI chatbots in teaching. If anything, the best case for an AI would be to try and nudge a student out of the conceptual jam that they're in, whatever it might be. They can type into the chat bot, I'm really stuck on this. Do you have any ideas how I could solve this problem? And the AI could go, well, have you tried this? But that could be complete BS too, I'm waiting for an AI to sit there and go, well, have you thought about setting the house on fire or something? It's just not something that you can trust right now, particularly with kids. And it says it's only a matter of time. I understand that. But 20 years down the line, you're going to have the same exact problem. It's just going to be 20 years more evolved. And it's not going to be as capable. It's not going to be able to teach kids how to be holistic humans. It'll have them thinking clinically. Chatbots backed by large language models can help students from primary education to certification programs self-guide through voluminous materials and tailor their education to specific learning styles. This has actually been debunked quite a bit, specific learning styles. Basically, we need a combination of all of these styles. Like visual learner, hands-on learner, book learner. The fact is that we need a combination of all of those so that you have it in your eyes, you have it in your ears, you have it tactical, you have it you doing it with somebody else, etc. It's not just one way to do it. And we all get a little bit better from doing all of those. AI is nothing more than text telling you, it's an instruction telling you to do something. It's going to be color by number, and it's not going to promote critical thinking. So it says AI for routine learning, teachers for personalized lessons, but they just poo-pooed that, saying that it can do personalized lessons. So is it gonna try and actually take anybody's job? I really doubt it. I don't think that anybody wants AI pulling teachers out of this dynamic. It's very dangerous, I think. Crazy Cat Lady says, and they have to teach to the test. Yes. And that's, yeah, they do have to teach to the test. Toll says it's extremely hard to teach to all of the styles of learners, and how would AI be able to do hands-on, see it, try it, do it method? Yeah, they wouldn't be able to. Sounds like someone spent too much time watching The Matrix and thinking about the White Room. Yeah, I learned Kung Fu, or I know Kung Fu. Yeah, I don't think that this is a viable solution for academia at the lower levels. When you're in college, then you can use AI because you are an adult that's responsible for your actions, and you professors and advisors will tell you when you're complaining about something or you're doing something, is this the hill you want to die on with your complaint, or do you want to just solve the problem and move on? Well, you'll hear from a student saying things like, well, I don't know how to do it. And well, that's why you're in school and you've been tasked with an assignment. You have to take that big problem and chop it into little pieces so that you can learn how to solve the big problem. And in universities and in colleges around the nation, around the world, color by numbers is not the objective. It's to teach you how to be a holistic human being with critical thinking skills, capable of doing the due diligence necessary to succeed, both academically and professionally when you exit. So, Tull says, quote, "You are an adult and responsible for your actions." I'm not going to have that on the record there, Tull. You're awesome though. I think we've all been there. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that are talking about it, but I don't think that it'll come to fruition in this regard, at least not at the grade school primary level. Colleges, I think it's Wild West. And even there, AI should have, we should teach students at the college level to use AI as a tool, but not as the solution. It should be nothing more than something to stoke your uh, true effort into action instead of, well, go back and look at some of our streams. We talk about attorneys that just sit there and run the inquiry against ChatGPT, and then they end up getting disbarred because they never did any other due diligence. So it's a shame. But AI is the teachable moment is people now standing in the unemployment line. Here, let's go on to the next article. This next article is over on ohmTown Daily. Hasbro is bringing back the Furby again, but this time it'll have an off switch. And just to step back for a moment, Toll says, I think the best fit for AI is a teaching tool in a distance learning program like the University of Phoenix or Liberty University. Even there, I don't think that it has a place other than to stoke someone into action, not be an actual solution. Yeah, it has its place, but it's not actually teaching. That said, everything old is new again, so Hasbro is releasing a new Furby for the 25th anniversary of the toy's original release. This thing is probably using AI nowadays. Furbies were popular in the late 90s, selling 40 million toys in the first 3 years, addressing the fears of those that remember. Amazon listing confirms Furby will have an off switch. You know, it didn't have an off switch the last time.
I suspect it didn't because they're making such a big to-do about the off switch. So
I
what
thought
was
that,
the issue? Like, did it talk all the time or did it observe all the time?
well, it didn't really observe anything. It had sensors and stuff, but it literally was operational all the time, and it would just blurt out stuff randomly, and wanted to be like, well, its algorithm would tell it to do something so that you would play with it and interact with it. So Toll says, yeah, nope, and that was why a few Furbies wound up in fires. Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh yeah, it became a thing. People just absolutely hate it, and people would stick multiple Furbies together, and they would all interact with each other, and it was like chaos, and they were always making weird noises and stuff like that. Yeah. So the article is over at businessinsider.com. Aaron McDade is the author. I guess these are the new ones. They're a little bit more stylish, if I remember my Furbies correctly. Crazy Cat Lady says that they loved their Furby and that they had a couple of them. You're part of the problem. No, it's not the first time that they've come back. Correct. Yeah, there was a previous iteration of these. I don't believe that they sold very well. The 25th anniversary, it's going to have some new tech on it. I think the last iteration had like digital eyes or something like that. I think, if I remember right. Crazy Cat Lady's daughter had one when they were younger. Yeah, they've been around. And I don't know how these are going to sell, but it says if it's going to have an off switch, then, you know, fine. I'd be curious to see what people do with these things nowadays. Hasbro recently announced the 25-year anniversary redesign and return of the Furby. Everyone's favorite or least favorite nonsense spouting fuzzy chatterbox hamster owl creature thing. So I'm gonna get one and name it ChatGPT. The original Furby, which came out in 1998, sold at least 40 million of the units in the first 3 years. As many parents quickly learned, however, their child's new favorite toy had no off button. So in the dead of night, this thing would just wake up and start going, blah, blah. Yeah. I knew people that had them, but I refused. But people were like in line waiting to get these things. Later generations produced in the mid-2000s and early 2010s had versions of sleep modes and off switches, giving some relief to those who didn't want to constantly interact with the toy. Still not as bad as Tamagotchis, where you had to sit there and babysit them constantly.
I was going to bring that up because I thought it sounded reminiscent of that.
So Crazy Cat Lady says the last updated Furby with color LCD eyes was released in 2016. So I remember those. Waited in lines when they were younger, and again for their daughter. Crazy Cat Lady, you are Crazy Cat Lady. And you had a Tamagotchi? Yeah. I had a coworker gift a Tamagotchi that they had in a desk drawer in their home, and they're like, "Hey, you want one of these?" And now it's sitting in a desk drawer in my home. Maybe it's a listening device. I don't know. It's kind of what my associates would do to me. Had one of each kind of digital pet out there at one point. Yeah, that's dedication to tech. Are you going to get a 25th anniversary Furby Crazy Cat Lady? Or for that sake, Tull? Stick that in the passenger seat of the truck. Strap it in with a seatbelt. Right in between you two. I'm sure somebody's going to super glue one of these things to their dashboard. So they said it was a little too reminiscent of Chucky, the murderous doll villain of the horror film Child's Play. Yeah, I don't know. I dig all kinds of tech though, so I'll probably noodle around with one of these things. Pardon me. Hey, so let's go on to the last article for today. And this is a horizontal platform scroller, a la Prince of Persia style graphics from back in the 80s, but modern. So this is in the Warcrafters channel. Swap horses and swords for kids on bikes in Kingdom 80s. So Kingdom actually has a series of games apparently. I have not played any of these. I'm not too into the scroller kind of games. Although Prince of Persia was my jam back in the day, and now they're going to be re-releasing Prince of Persia with much more updated graphics. Jonathan Bolding over at PCGamer.com put this article together. Fight invading greed monsters with the help of a few kids at scout camp. Word of warning. Okay, so let me throw... What was the last thing that I threw into chat? Doggone it. It's only a matter of time, so I'm actually pretty up to date. So there is that one. And there is this one. Dun-dun-dun. And so there's actually a pretty big following for the Kingdom series, as it were. And I watched this video. I have it muted because I don't want to get a DMCA notice. At some point, I'm going to have to address this because it's fair use. And I'm talking about it and over it. But it's basically a side scroller. It has 80s era graphics and the content within it, and BMX bike riding kids, 4 of them, and the music leans very hard into Stranger Things. And so they actually say this in the article as well. Kids on bikes fighting, befriending, escaping, pursuing monsters, one of the strongest resurgent genres of the last decade, and thanks to Stranger Things, deeply ingrained to the 1980s aesthetic, which first birthed it. And that's exactly what this is really. The audio track in this is reminiscent of Stranger Things. what they do is reminiscent of Stranger Things. There's a portal in this game that's reminiscent of Stranger Things. It had a hoverboard graphic at one point in this video, a
Okay, that
teaser, a
reminds
gameplay
me of
trailer,
like Back to the Future, but
which is 80s era
right.
movie. So all of this is basically Stranger Things. I'll be honest. I think this is Stranger Things, and y'all might like it. So go and check it out. It says it'll release on June 26th, 2023, and you'll be able to find it on Steam. It's called Kingdom 80s. I might check it out. I haven't looked to see what the price of it is, but I don't really play side scrollers all that much. I like first person style games, base building, survival, etc. kind of things. Diablo is about as side scrolling as I want to get, and obviously it's not. So
It doesn't have the price listed on Steam.
It's not?
No.
Okay. So yeah, I guess you're going to be going after greed monsters, which is, I don't know if this is like a play on capitalism or something, but if you're into the 80 styles, pixel graphic kind of things, then you'll dig this game. I like the aesthetic. I like the music. Not my style of game though. So, but you might like it. So go and check it out. Play it. Come back. Talk shop. If you have a camera or a microphone, then I can even pull you into our discussion so that you can voice your opinion live on the air, so to speak. I mean, it'll be live, but it'll be streamed. No air involved. It's all ones and zeros sent across a series of tubes. Anyway, so we are at the end of today's show, and that means that I drag you all the way back to Main Street. We click on that welcome sign, and we get a whole bunch of new articles. Let's see here. 5 new Steam games you probably missed. That one we'll have to talk
The
about
YouTube
tomorrow.
star says he declined Titan submersible invitation.
Yeah, so you know that who that is, right? That YouTube
Mr. Beast.
star is Mr. Beast. Was invited to that. Yeah, Tull, do you want an invitation to be a guest? You'll have to lean back on the couch. I ask you all kinds of really involved personal questions. What's your favorite color? What's your mother's maiden name?
None of that will be asked during the show.
Zip code. What was the name of the school you went to? If you could get a car in any color, what color would it be? What's your favorite book? All kinds of innocuous questions that are really, really harmless and won't allow me to access your bank. Until says that their Twitch went dumb and they missed most of that. Probably better. Yeah, you're probably better for it. So we won't even go back. So yeah, Mr. Beast declined an invitation to be on that Titan sub. Yeah, join the crowd, Tull. Mine's empty too. Yeah, I can't believe that. Can you imagine waking up in the morning and finding out that the sub that you were invited to be on imploded? Yeah.
No, I've heard stories like that before, not with a sub specifically, but somebody was supposed to be on whatever, a flight or a ship or something, and then some tragedy occurred. But something out of the ordinary caused them not to be on a flight, ship, etc.
Like somebody needed to be on that flight, so they voluntarily bumped themselves and that plane or whatever. Yeah, there's all kinds of stories like that. It's really creepy. Let's see. Is there anything else in here that's really exciting that we can guarantee will be in tomorrow's episode?
Well, I don't know if I can guarantee it, but the Project Zomboid sounds interesting. Great moments in PC gaming.
Yeah, Project Zomboid kind of took the internet by storm and has a lot of people still playing it.
I do have a guarantee though for next time because I've already submitted this one. The one at the bottom, Australia considers firing social media companies for fake news.
Interesting. So they're going to start fining social media companies for fake news.
I think I said firing. That
it's
too.
the fiscal version of responsibility, I suppose. But unless that fine is bigger than the take, then I don't know. Toll said that they pop the top off some whiskey and grab the good cigar and just think, yep, told you so. Yeah, this is it's interesting because this person, that Titan thing, they pushed the limit of the technology without knowing what the quality of their technology was, and nature kind of crushed it. So, literally. So Toll says Australia, everything is trying to kill you, the government is trying to suppress you, but we won't tolerate fake news. Yeah, I think we tolerate a lot of fake news here in the States. And really, I mean, I don't know. Fake news. I've said this in previous episodes, and I'll probably end up saying it again. Is we are a product of the information that we consume, and we embrace bias. And so when something confirms our predisposed idea about what something is, we are more prone to accept that confirmation bias, and it doesn't necessarily lead us in the right direction. So fake news and manipulation, it's basically like sales pitches. It's creating the want in people, and it can do some very big harm. Again, I have to reach back into this almost decade-old instance where Facebook manipulated the news that people were receiving, and they were measuring emotional contagion, and all it was negative news to 350,000 people and positive news to 350,000 people, and the people responded in kind. Those who received bad news constantly responded negatively. Those who received good news responded negatively. If we grow up, if we interact with everybody the same way in an echo chamber, it reinforces ideals, but those ideals can be abjectly wrong. Why? Because I'll give you anecdote. I've interacted with people who eschewed technology all their life. The moment that I introduced them to something, suddenly their worldview opened up dramatically. And I've witnessed this again and again and again, helping businesses pivot from using older technology where they were afraid to do something to embracing newer technologies and all of the consumers, customers along with it, and bigger markets, global markets. Again and again, if we break out of what we are just comfortable with, we learn something new and our worldview grows. But when somebody just feeds us incorrect information, then we have an incorrect worldview. So Tola said a few things in chat, and so let me see real quick here. Russian Alpha was a titanium alloy hull, and there are less than half of them that are serviceable. And I think I read that 4 of them can't dive more than a couple atmospheres because of structural integrity. Yeah, and that actually the problem is that just because you went down once or twice doesn't mean that you can do it a third time, because there's that structural load doesn't just dissipate. It actually has to be repaired and monitored. And this particular person, Rush, never did anything to verify the integrity of the capsule except for the echo, the sonar check, and that wasn't going to be good enough. And odds on, the way that this thing imploded was from the nose cone, because it wasn't rated for the depth that it was diving, apparently. About ready to end your Facebook because they keep showing you basketball articles and you can't stand basketball. Look at that. You're part of that emotional contagion. You're getting all of this bad news, which is basketball. Looked up Jordan stats a few times and now your feed's infected with NBA. Yeah, same thing happens on YouTube. Look up way more baseball and I get nothing. Facebook kind of meta sucks. Yep. I'm on Facebook, but I don't use it. At some point, they'll probably take my account and recycle it. That said, I think we're done for tonight. What do you say? Hot Wheels Rift Valley review. There's another one. Although that was 3 hours ago, so maybe we grabbed that one. I'm not sure. That's okay.
I think that might be a different article, but it's the topic we covered.
Yep. All right. So that's it for tonight. And let me close with thanks for coming and hanging out. Really do appreciate it. Sorry, I'm reading a message from Toll in chat. Brittle under pressure, unlike the steel alloys that other countries use, steel will return to its original shape after being exposed to depth. Yeah, titanium is strong and light, but brittle. That's my understanding too. It can shatter. So we've had a lot of discussion and a lot of topics, and I hope that you will attend tomorrow as well. That would be great. I would love to hear your voices, even if it is in text form. I actually imagine people's voices in my head when I read their texts. So come and check us out, and feel free to lurk if you need to or want to. But I really do thrive off of the discussion, particularly for ohmTown Daily. I also am gaming. I'll probably be gaming tomorrow, sometime after 10 a.m. I have some mayoral duties that I need to take care of, but please follow here on Twitch. Go over to YouTube and follow us there. All of these shows end up over there for long-term storage, and it gets turned into a podcast each morning the next day. And leave a review over there. If you leave a 5-star review and you leave a comment there, I will read your comment live here on ohmTown. Regardless of what it is, I will just read it verbatim. Unless it's an accusation of somebody. If it lands me into a libel or slander type lawsuit, then I won't say it. But anyway, I'm sure nobody would ever do that. No,
not until you gave them the idea.
Well, that's exactly what Toll just said. Toll said, "Don't tell me that." Oh, great! I've opened the Pandora's box, or the gates of hell are now open. The door to hell is open. Okay, so that's it, folks. We're going to get out of here, and we're going to see you tomorrow, I hope, 9 p.m. Eastern, ohmTown Daily, right here on twitch.tv/ohmTown. I am Merwat. That is ohmTown. I'm looking at the monitor, but it's on the opposite side. Anyway, that is ohmTown.com, the news aggregator that facilitates all of my news. without the noise. So go and check it out. Become a citizen of ohmTown. Up there is the AI that's keeping tabs on me and watching me. Always watching.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern.
It's true. See you soon. Good night, Toll. Good night, Crazy Cat Lady. Stay awesome, everybody.